Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 19, verse number 37. Ata prachami samsiddhim yoginam paramam gurum purushasyeha yat karyam mriyamanasya sarvata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Purport. Unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a householder. Generally, a fashionable materialist engages a so-called spiritual master without any profit. The pseudo-spiritual master flatters the so-called disciple, and thereby both the master and his ward go to hell without a doubt. Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple because he puts forward questions vital to the interest of all men, particularly for the dying men. The questions put forward by Maharaj Parikshit is the basic principle of complete thesis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now let us see how intelligently the great master replies. Hare Krishna. So here we see Maharaj Parikshit is asking a very important question before the great sages who have assembled, and Sukadev Goswami, who has appeared before the assembly, is asking a very important question. And Prabhupada is saying in the purport, Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple because he puts forward questions vital to the interest of all men, particularly for the dying men. The question put forward by Maharaj Parikshit asking, Ata prachami samsiddhim. What is the way of perfection for all persons? This is a speciality of human form of life. In human form of life, we can inquire about goal of life. Atato brahma jignasa. That's a speciality about human life. Not only in human life, such inquiries are made. Even the birds and bees also ask questions and get answers or seek answers. Even the birds and bees, they also ask questions. We may be surprised. How can birds and bees ask questions? But yes, they also ask questions. They also seek answers. We may not be able to understand their language, but they also ask. Just like Krishna, in the pastime of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna used to call different names to different cows. And the cows would come running towards him. And they would converse with him. Krishna would also converse with birds and bees and other animals. He can speak all languages. That is why he is known as expert linguistic. It is one of the unlimited qualities of Lord Krishna. So, asking questions and answers is a common thing among birds and bees. But as a human being, one has to inquire something very special. He has to inquire about God, about Atato Brahma Jignasa. Who am I? What is soul? What is super soul? What is the goal of life? Such inquiries have to be made. Such education is required. Such training is required. Such culture is required. And not the education which is teaching how to eat better, how to improve our eating habits, how to improve our sense gratification in a sophisticated way. No, that is not the real education. The real education is to inquire about self, about super self. That is real education. Once when Srila Prabhupada was in Boston, he was invited to MIT. He asked one of the students there, "You have got the technology for various departments. You have got the technology for various departments. Where is the technology to understand the difference between a dead body and a living body? Where is the technology to understand the difference between a living body and a dead body? What is that? What is the thing that is missing in a body? That is why it is called a dead body. What is the technology to find what is missing in a dead body?" Such inquiries has to be made, especially concerning about our life. What is the highest perfection of human form of life? Such inquiries have to be made, especially in the human form of life. That's why Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, "Samsiddhim paramam gataha." Samsiddhim paramam gataha. He describes the highest perfection of life is going back to Godhead. Mam upetya punarjanma. One who attains me, Mam upetya, one who attains me, punarjanma, he never takes birth again in this miserable material world. Because they have attained the highest perfection, samsiddhim paramam gataha. So, if we are not trained in what is highest perfection of life, then we will simply be busy in lower propensities. What are the lower propensities? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We'll be simply busy in it. If you see in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is asking perfect questions. And Krishna is giving perfect answers. Full conversation of Bhagavad Gita is this, questions and answers. Even Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with questions and answers. Here we see in today's verse, Parikshit is asking question to Sukadeva Goswami. The sages of Naimisharanya are asking questions to Suta Goswami. Vidura is asking questions to Maitreya. Rahugana is asking questions to Jadabharata. Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with questions and conversations. So here we see in today's verse, the king is asking most important question. In fact, before this question, in few verses back, the very first question he asked, what is the first question? What is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? What is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? And the second question is, what is the specific duty of one who is to die very shortly? What is the specific duty of one who is to die very shortly? So out of these two questions, the question relating to the dying man is most important. Because every one of us are dying. One day we will all die. Either very shortly or after 100 years. Yes or no? Agree? Either very shortly or after 100 years. So our life is very short. In this short period of time, we have to be prepared for death. We have to prepare for death. And that's why Prahalad Maharaj is saying, Kaumaram acharet pragna dharman bhagavataniha durlabam manusham jarma tadapi adhruvam arthadham. Kaumaram acharet pragna. From the age 5, we must begin. Acharet. We must culture. We must practice. From the age 5 come the Kaumara age. About what we must practice? Dharman Bhagavataniha. Prabhupada beautifully translates this word Bhagavata. He says, devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must practice devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is our dharma. And he says, Dharman Bhagavatan Iha. This word Iha is very, very significant. He says, in this very life, we must practice Dharman Bhagavatan Iha. Why? Why in this very life? Because Durlabam Manusham Janma. This Manusham Janma is Durlabam. Very rare. Durlabam, very rare. So, Prahalad is stressing from the age 5 we must begin of practice of devotional service. Let us say we live for 100 years. Let us say we live for 100 years. How these 100 years are classified, Prahalad is teaching to his classmates. How these 100 years are classified. He says, Pumso Varshashatam I Ayuhu. Pumso Varshashatam I Ayuhu. Tadardham cha ajitatmanaha nishfalam yat asau ratriam sete andam prapitas tamaha. Pumso varshashatam. Pumsaha means every human being. Every human being as ayuhu. What is the ayuhu? Varshasatam. 100 years. His duration is 100 years. In this 100 years, what is doing? Ardham, half of his life, ardham, half of his life, ajita atmanaha, is engaged in uncontrolled senses. He becomes servant of his senses. Ajita atmanaha. And so what happens? His life becomes nishphalam, without profit, without gain, without success. His life becomes nishphalam. Asau ratriyam, in the night he is sleeping for many, many, many hours. Sete andam prapitas tamaha. Andham, he becomes ignorantly situated, completely in darkness. Tamaha, sete andam prapitas tamaha. Prabhupada says, Prahlad says here, every human being has a maximum duration of life of 100 years. But for one who cannot control his senses, half of those years are completely lost. Because at night he sleeps for 12 hours. Being covered by ignorance, such a person has lifetime of only 50 years. You see? 50 years of his life is already gone. And then Prahlad is saying, Mugdasya balye kaishore kridato yati vimshataha jaraya grasta dehasya yati akalpasya vimshatihi. Mugdasya balye. In his childhood, he is mugdasya, he is bewildered. Out of ignorance, he is bewildered. He doesn't know what is happening around the world, around him. We come across children, they go on observing. They go on seeing things. Yes or no? They go on observing. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? In this way, he passes 10 years of his time. Mugdasya balye. And next, Kaishore Kridato. In his Kaishore age, when he gains consciousness, when he tries to understand things, he wants to play. He wants to sport. He wants to spend whole day in playing, forgetting even food. Even if mother calls for food, he is least bothered. Yes or no? Children want to play. They like play. They want to enjoy. Like this, he spends 10 more years. Kaishore kridato. So 20 years is gone in his childhood and boyhood. And next comes, he says, Jaraya grasta dehasya. In his old age, he becomes invalid. He becomes invalid. His limbs doesn't function. His mind is not functioning. His intelligence is weak. His memory is weak. He will not be able to do anything in his old age. Jaraya grasta dehasya. He will not be able to enjoy his senses also. And then he says, Yati akalpasya vimshatihi. He cannot accomplish even material things. In this stage, he will not be able to even inquire about spirituality because of weakness. Spirituality requires sharp intelligence to understand the spiritual subject matter. It requires fresh mind, fresh thinking. Like this, he goes on worrying in his old age. He has his grandchildren. He wants to place them better. He wants to get them married. He wants to build them big bungalow. His life is wasted thinking, worrying like this. In this way, he passes 20 years. So total, 40 years he has passed like that. And remaining how many years are there? Very, very, very few years. And Prahlad is saying, in these few years which is left over, Durapurena kamena, Durapurena kamena, Mohena cha baliyasa, Shesham graheshu saktasya, Pramatyasya payati hi. Durapurena kamena. In his youth, his lusty desires are on peak. His desires are very strong. He wants to fulfill those desires. But Durapurena kamena, although he is trying to fulfill his desires, he is not able to fulfill those desires because this kama is like that. It will never fulfill these desires. Insatiable. Durapurena. Insatiable lusty desires. Mohena cha baliyasa. He becomes bewildered. Moha, it becomes bewildered. And he caught up in strong illusion, baliyasa. Actually, this youth time is a prime time. He has lot of energy. He has lot of strength. Instead of uplifting our consciousness to Krishna conscious, we have misplaced our energy in something illusion. We have misplaced our energy in something illusion. That's why further Prahlad says, Shesham griheshu saktasya. He becomes engaged in family life. He becomes tightly bonded. In this way, he passes his life. Not knowing the purpose. He engages in family life. He works very hard. Pramattasya. He becomes mad in order to maintain his family. Like this, he passes away his life without God consciousness. Practically no time to practice Krishna consciousness. That's why Prahlad is saying, from the age 5, Kaumaram Acharet Prajna. From the age 5, we must begin cultivating Krishna consciousness, otherwise life will pass like this. So Prabhupada is saying, the duration of life is just like a flash. The duration of life is just like a flash. When we see in the ocean, there are waves, correct? Ocean has waves. These waves create bubbles. Small, small bubbles it creates. The moment it creates bubbles, next moment they are finished. Correct? Next moment they are finished. So our life is like that. It's just like a flash. Prabhupada is saying here. And this is not just our life in earthly planet. Even the highest planet, Brahmaloka, Brahma's lifetime is also like a flash. His lifetime is much, 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 much higher. We can't imagine. Sahasra Yuga Pariyantam. His lifetime is Sahasra Yuga Pariyantam. Ahar yad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratri vido janaha. His lifetime is Sahasra Yuga Pariyantam. He lives for millions and trillions of years. How is this calculated? Just like our one day has 24 hours, right? Our one day has 24 hours. Similarly, Brahma's day is calculated in Kalpa. Divya Yuga. 1 day of Brahma is equivalent to 1000 Divya Yugas. 1000 Divya Yugas. What is one Divya Yuga? Can anybody attempt? Sorry? Yes. The sum total of Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. The sum total of all these 4 yugas equals to one Divya Yuga, which is amounting to 43 lakh 20,000 years is one cycle. 43 lakh 20,000 years is one cycle. And that is just 12 hours, just a day of Brahma, 12 hours. This multiply by 1000. This is just 12 hours calculation. Similar calculation is for the night. And that total calculation is 24 hours of Brahma. That calculation you can multiply by 30 days. And that 30 days multiply by 12 months to 1 year. And that into 100 years. Can we imagine? Can anybody calculate? We cannot comprehend. Such is the lifetime of Brahma. It is said, Brahma lives for 311 trillion 40 billion earth years. Earth years. 311 trillion and 40 billion earth years. This is the life of Brahma. You can imagine. It is inconceivable for us. Sorry? Earth years, our earth years. We cannot imagine, we cannot conceive this. But Srila Prabhupada compares this very beautifully. He compares this very beautifully. He compares the life of Brahma. From our viewpoint, it looks fantastic. From our viewpoint, it looks fantastic. It looks great. Just like the Devatas, they drink Amrita. They drink the nectar, which is churned in the ocean. Right? They drink nectar. They want to become immortal. They don't want to die. They want to live forever. They drink this Amrita. From our viewpoint, Even the duration in the heavenly planets seems eternal. Life has no death in the heavenly planets. But Prabhupada says, very beautifully says, it looks fantastic. Life in the higher planets, it looks fantastic. Life looks interminable. Life looks interminable. But from the viewpoint of eternity, life is just a lightning flash. It is just like a lightning flash. Sometimes when we see in the night, when it rains, there is a lightning in the sky, right? It appears and disappears immediately. In the same way, our life is like that, in a lightning flash. Just like this ocean creates bubbles, and next moment it is finished. Correct? In this momentary time, in this momentary life, we become so much attached to material things. We become so much attached to material things in this momentary time, forgetting about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, forgetting what is our goal of life, forgetting what is the highest perfection of life, forgetting going back to Godhead. We become so much attached in this material things, material sense gratification, material sense pleasures. To illustrate this, Bhagavatam gives very interesting example from the story of a great sage named Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni was a very powerful yogi. He was a tapasvi. And he was determined to conquer his senses. In the external world, there are so many sensual pleasures. In order to protect himself, in order to realize his self, who am I? In order to protect himself, he goes deep in the water, in the ocean, in order to meditate. He goes deep in the water, in the ocean, and he wants to meditate. And he meditates for years and years. One day, when he opens his eyes, he saw a pair of fish. He saw a pair of fish mating each other. Seeing this, he becomes agitated. His senses becomes agitated. He comes out of the water, walks straight away to the king Mandata, who had 50 daughters. He asks him one of the daughter in marriage. One of the daughter he asks him in marriage. Imagine Saubhari Muni, who was in the water for many, many years, his body became weak. No flesh in his body. He looks ugly. He looks unattractive. And king was thinking, how can I give my young daughter to him, who looks very ugly? But at the same time, he was thinking, he's a powerful yogi. I cannot offend him. So he cleverly said, here are my 50 daughters. You can marry any one of the daughter if anyone is interested. You can marry her if any one of the daughter is interested. And this Saubhari Muni understood. He understood the king's trick. So because he's a powerful yogi with his mystical powers, he transforms himself into a very beautiful, handsome, attractive young man. He transforms himself. And he comes to the palace. And then all these 50 daughters were attracted to this young man. And they were all fighting each other. I want to marry him. I want to marry him. I want to marry him. And the king gives all 50 daughters in marriage to him. And Saubhari Muni creates 50 palaces, very beautiful, very opulent, very gorgeous palaces. Seeing the opulence, King Mandata becomes humbled. He thinks his opulence, his palace is much, much better. Seeing his opulence, he becomes humbled. And Saubhari Muni enjoys with his 50 daughters for many, many, many years. And time has passed by. Days have become months. And months have become years. He becomes completely lost in sensual pleasure. And one day, when he was sitting alone, he was thinking, I have renounced everything. I want to realize the self. What happened to me like this? Why has it happened to me like this? This is the trick of Maya. Initially, he was thinking he wants to get away from the external disturbances, external distractions. He goes deep into the water for meditation in order to get rid of these external disturbances from Maya. Maya tricked him. She is all pervading. We cannot get away from her grip. So, now, with great determination, he renounces his sensual life. He takes vanaprastha and goes for meditation. This time, with great determination, he attains perfection. Not only attains perfection, all his wives also attain perfection. And Prabhupada says, very beautifully he says, the greatest loss in this life is passing time without understanding Krishna. This is the greatest loss of passing time without understanding Krishna. Every moment of our life must be utilized properly. And the proper use of life is to increase devotional service to the Lord. Without devotional service to the Lord, the activities of our life simply become waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. It is simply waste of time without devotional service. So that's why Prahalad is asserting and preaching very enthusiastically to his classmates that don't waste time in material things. Don't waste time about material things. Just try to understand about the Supreme Lord Krishna and remember him always. And Krishna very beautifully is explaining in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita how we can remember him. How we can remember him. He's saying, Ananyacheta satatam. Ananyacheta satatam yomam smarati nityasaha. Tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. He is saying satatam, yoma, satatam, always, ananyacheta, without deviation, smarati nityasaha, remember me always. Smarati, remember me always. By doing so, what happens? Tasyaham sulabha partha. Sulabha, it becomes sulabha, it becomes very easy to obtain Lord Krishna. It becomes sulabha. Nitya yuktasya yoginaha. How it becomes sulabha? By engaging in devotional service. By constant engagement in devotional service. He says, for one who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. The pure devotees, they only want to please the Lord. They only want to serve the Lord because they have unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord. That's why it becomes easy for them to obtain Krishna. It becomes easy. And next, Krishna is saying, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam naptuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Mam upetya punarjanma. Anyone who attains me, punarjanma is not there. Why? They have attained the highest perfection. Samsiddhim paramam gataha. Because this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is full of miseries. There is a birth, death, old age, disease. And such Mahatmas who have attained me, who have attained highest perfection, for them punarjanma is not there. So the pure devotees only want to associate with Krishna, nothing else. They don't want anything. Because such great souls have attained highest perfection. Now with this, Krishna is comparing the contrary in the Bhagavad Gita. The next sloka where Krishna is saying, is comparing with this material world. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mam Upetitu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. In this material world, from the highest planet Brahma Loka, even to the lowest planet, all places of misery is there. There is a birth, there is old age. Because this world is miserable world. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. In this material world, there is birth and death. From highest planet to the lowest planet, all places of misery where repeated birth and death takes place. But Mam Upetya, but one who has attained me, Punarjanmana Vidyate. There is no birth again, Krishna is saying here. And next, Krishna is talking about, we have seen from the highest planet Brahmaloka, where his duration is millions and trillions of years. And such lifetime is just flash only. Krishna is saying, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. And in that Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, in that Brahma's lifetime, Brahma is creating, is manifesting living entities in his daytime, and when night arrives, is annihilating the living entities. That means the living entities are created, annihilated, Created, annihilated. Created, annihilated. Why? Because we have desires. We have desires. Sometimes we want to go to the higher planets, sometimes we come to the lower planets. Sometimes we are elevated, sometimes we are degraded because of our desires. That's why Krishna is saying, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Again and again we are created. But there is another nature which is transcendental, which is eternal. Parastasmatu bhavanyo. Parastasmatu bhavanyo. Vekto vektat sanatanaha. Ya sarveshu bhuteshu. Natsyatsu na vinashyati. There is another nature. That is paras. That is transcendental, eternal. Where the living entities, there is another nature which is eternal and transcendental to this manifested, unmanifested. This material world is manifesting and unmanifesting. But that abode, that supreme abode is never annihilated. When this world is annihilated, that world remains as it is. And Krishna is welcoming us. See? Krishna's superior energy is opposite, is this world material energy. Now one may say, theory is all nice, Prabhu. But how do we remember Krishna? It's a challenge, is it not? How do we remember Krishna? Krishna is giving so many inputs, how to remember him. But what is the practicality? Theory is there. Where is the practice? That we shall try to understand from the life of Bhishma Deva. How Bhishma Deva passed away from this material world remembering Krishna. How Bhishma Deva passed away? By remembering Krishna. We all know, after the battlefield of Kurukshetra, battle is over. The grand desire Bhishma Deva, who was the commander of the Kauravas, he was lying on the bed of arrows. He was lying on the bed of arrows. As he was lying on the bed of arrows, at that moment, Lord Krishna was present. The 5 Pandavas were present. Vyasadeva was present. Narada Muni was present. And great personalities were present. At that moment, he said to himself, he says that, let me now invest my thinking, feeling, willing in the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Let me now invest my thinking, feeling, willing in the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Just see the beauty of Bhishma Deva. He was lying on the bed of arrows. He was not lamenting. His body is filled with arrows, blood is coming out. He is not regretting of this situation. He is not thinking of his enemies. He is fully submitting his mind, body, heart, soul unto Krishna. See the beauty of Bhishma. In such a situation, he is not at all lamenting. He is just submitting his mind, his heart, soul to Lord Krishna. See, that is the glorious death of Bhishma. Bhishma fixed his eyes on Krishna. Krishna was present before him. He is glorifying Lord Krishna. He is remembering the divine pastimes of Lord Krishna. And is serving Lord Krishna by surrendering himself completely unto the Lord. And this stage, Prabhupada is saying, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This stage is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Total absorption in God. Actually, Bhishma had a boon that he would die at his own will and not at the will of Kala. He would die on his own will. In our case, we die at the will of Kala. There are two ways of dying. We die like an animal dragged by material nature, or die like Bhishma Deva, a glorious death, remembering Lord Krishna. Once one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, how should we prepare for death? How should we prepare for death? Prabhupada replies, he says, just live your whole life practicing remembering Krishna. Just live your whole life practicing remembering Krishna. Then at the final moment, it will become natural. It will become natural. See? So, Prabhupada, in the purport of this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Prabhupada says, this is the highest perfection, highest stage of perfection. And this perfection is possible for everyone to attain. It is possible for every one of us to attain the highest perfection like Bhishma. It is possible for us to attain by practice of devotional service. By practice of devotional service. And this devotional service has 9 principles, 9 methods of practice of devotional service. What is that? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dhasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. Prabhupada says, all of them or any one of them are equally competent to achieve the desired result like Bhishma. Any one of them or all of them has the competent, has the potency to achieve highest perfection like Bhishma. But it requires one condition. Prabhupada says it is possible with one condition. What is that? With persistent practice. With persistent practice under the guidance of an expert devotee of the Lord, it is possible to attain the highest perfection. So out of these 9 principles, Prabhupada is stressing that the very first item, hearing, is the most important item of all. Through hearing Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, one can attain the stage of Bhishma. So hearing is given utmost important out of all these 9 principles of devotional service. Now one may say, see, before Bhishma, Lord Krishna was there. He could see Lord Krishna. He could meditate upon him. He could remember his pastimes. And that's how it is possible for Bhishma to attain the highest perfection, one may think. No, but for this, Prabhupada is saying that The words of the Bhagavad Gita or the words of Srimad Bhagavatam are identical with the Lord. Are identical with the Lord. They are the sound incarnation of the Lord, and one can utilize fully to attain the stage of Bhishma. You see? Prabhupada has given us everything. He has given holy name, he has given Krishna's words, he has given us everything. And then he concludes saying that the human form of life is especially meant for dying like Bhishma Deva. See, that is the importance of human form of life. Similar instance, how we can remember Lord Krishna always, even at the end of life, we shall try to learn from the life of Srila Prabhupada. In the year 1965, when Prabhupada was 69 years old, he wants to fulfill the desire, the mission of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta, to preach the message of Gita in the Western world. He gets a free ticket, Jaladuta ship, he gets a cargo ship free ticket. As he boards the ship, when he boards the ship, he had no money. He had no contacts. He just boards the ship with trunk full of books, with few clothes, and just 40 rupees in his hand, which is invalid out of India. Correct? 40 rupees, just 40 rupees in hand, which is invalid out of India. As he was on his mission, the ocean has its own plan. The ocean was roaring like a thunder. The waves were crashing violently, and the ship was trembling as if breaking apart. Everyone in the ship was terrified. At that moment, Prabhupada suffers first heart attack. He was alone in his tiny cabin. There were no doctors. There were no medicines. Just japa beads in his hand and faith in Lord Krishna. That night, somehow he survives. Before he fully recovers, he receives second heart attack. His body is trembling. His chest is tightening. It seems like mission is coming to an end. At that moment, Prabhupada prays to Lord Krishna. Krishna, is this the end? Or is this the beginning? That night, something miracle happens. Prabhupada sees a dream where Krishna himself comes. But not alone. He comes with his expansions. He comes with Lord Ram. He comes with Lord Varaha, Lord Narasimha. They all come and row the boat to cross the ocean. And Prabhupada realizes that he was not alone and Krishna is carrying him. The very next morning, something extraordinary happens. The ocean, which was violent, raging for days, becomes calm, becomes peaceful. It becomes like a mirror. And the ship crew also says that some divine power has manifested in the waters. After a hard struggle of 31 days, long journey, Prabhupada finally reaches Boston Harbor. And then he steps off the ship. He had burning desire. He had a strong determination to give the message to the Western world. And he prays to the Lord with folded hands. He prays, "O Lord, I don't know why you brought me here. I have no power. I have no ability. But if you wish, these people can chant your world holy name. Please make me your puppet. Let me dance as you make me dance." Very wonderful prayers that we have been singing all these days in the morning. So on this occasion of Srila Prabhupada reaching Boston, who had carried world holy name, today we are commemorating Mega Maha Sankirtan in the main temple hall. I request every one of you to participate in this Maha Sankirtana, in Srila Prabhupada achieving his mission of crossing the ocean and preaching the message of Bhagavad Gita. It is because of him we are all here. So we have to acknowledge this, we have to remember this, we have to cherish this. I request all of you to please attend this Maha Sankirtana, which is happening in the main temple hall from 10:30. So I request everyone to please attend this. So to conclude, from these pastimes, we can understand, we can learn the art of surrender, the art of living, ultimately the art of dying, leaving everything in the hands of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.